So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you here in Saloon Film Festival. I got a great honor that I can moderate this debate, but I hope you as an animator, most of you are animators, I think, you will help me. So when you will have, please, any question during this discussion, don't hesitate, pull your hand up and give us your question. And today we will talk about beautiful animation, what Tom Moore from Ireland and Martin Vandas from Maurfilm created. And hopefully we will find out a little bit the secret, how comes that their animation were several times nominated for the Academy Awards. And I hope soon both of them will get the Oscar. And I think after this festival it will really happen. I really believe in that. And the question will be how they built such a successful studios, and this we will find out during the discussion today. And first, if you don't mind, we will start to introduce Tom Moore. So I would ask to show on the screen a little bit about Tom Moore, because I'm not sure how much you know about him, but he has a great impact on European animation. He's a director, also illustrator, and mainly co-founder of the studio Cartoon Saloon. He established this studio also with Nora to me, and she's a scriptwriter, and Paul Young, and they met in school, am I right? And what I appreciate on their animation is that they have very unique style, and when you look on them, they are so amazing. I'm so impressed. I love it. I said you could print even one frame out and it would be a beautiful picture what could be hanging on the wall. And I would say every frame from the animation could be like that. And their movies are very focused on Irish mythology. And also, when we will go on the other slides, we can see few animation what they did. My favorite is Song of the Sea, but I think we will maybe talk more today about the wall workers. And after the last third slide, we will check their showreel, if I can kindly ask for it. So now I would like to introduce more our second guest, and it is Martin Vandas. Martin Vandas is from Czech Republic, and his animation Daughter was nominated for the Oscar, what was incredible success for us, for such a small country, and we are very proud to have him here in Zlín. He is a producer. He established the studio Maurfilm in Prague in 2003, am I right? And he is a co-producer, and he co-produces animation also with a lot of big studios from abroad. And I'm super curious how he is able to manage it, because I think it is very difficult to do that. And he's amazing with that. And his animation that he produces with the animators, sometimes it is animation painted on the glass, sometimes it is puppet animation, sometimes it is 2D. And he's able to manage it. I think it must be very difficult, so I'm curious how he does that. He's also a member of the European Film Academy. He also got a Czech Award Lion, I think several actually. And for what I really appreciate him and his work is that he supports strongly young generation of the animators, and he, I think, is genius how to choose the talented people who comes and work with him. So welcome now, please, Martin Vandas, and we will check also his reel now. So my first question is both of you, and I would like to start at the beginning, because you both has studios, and what was your inspiration, or why you established the studios? Because at the beginning it is very difficult, and yeah, that's my question for the beginning.
Well, I've got the microphone, so I guess I'll go first. We started off in '99. When we were studying in Ballyfermot College in Dublin. That was when Toy Story came out in '95, and the whole business seemed to be going towards computer animation, like CG computer animation, and we wanted to keep going with hand-drawn animation, and we had the idea for our first film even back then when we were studying in college. So the original inspiration was to see, could we, for a few years anyway, we thought, make a hand-drawn film and then go out into the real world and get real jobs. But we managed to keep going for the last 27 years.
And can I ask, because when you say establish the studio, so the first project, you have to have some money for that, or you just started to animate short stories and run around the festivals and present it there, or first you did some, how to say, adverts, and once you collected a little bit of money, in the evenings you animated your own stories. What was your dream?
That's more or less exactly it. When we set up, I'd been a member of a group called Young Irish Filmmakers, and they had space in an old orphanage in Kilkenny in Ireland, and they gave us some space to set up. And at the start we were doing a lot of, this is a long time ago, so we were doing a lot of e-cards and animation for, we did a lot of work for CD-ROMs, and we did illustrated children's books. We illustrated the books teaching the Irish language to kids in school. And we did some TV commercials, and we managed to convince some of the bigger studios in Europe to give us a little bit of their work that they needed done. So we did like 4 or 5 minutes of feature film in Spain, 4 or 5 minutes of a feature film that was being produced in Dublin and Denmark. And so we managed to kind of, after 4 or 5 years of just working on whatever we could find to pay the bills, we managed to establish ourselves a bit more, yeah.
I avoid my answer before. How many people do you have in the studio?
Now, there's about 200 in Cartoon Saloon, and then we have a sister studio, Lighthouse, which has about another 100 people in there.
So, firstly, then that was correct question, because we are not studio, we are more film boutique. That means we are more producers than the studios. We are trying to have it the small studio with the capacities for 5, 6 people, but they are not fully employed. They are hired only for the project. So this is the big difference between the studio, this amount of the people. So that was reason why I asked, because in Czech Republic it's so difficult to keep it so many people for the long term. Then that's also the difficulties for the long term projects, that you are always looking for the new animators, and always you have to train them again and again and again, because when they are leaving the studio, they are losing their skills. So this is the big difference in between the industry in Ireland and Czech.
And Martin, when you established your studio, what was at the beginning? I will ask also. I know it is a little bit a few years back, but still, in Czech Republic, I remember when I was young, everyone talked about Hermína Tyrlová, Karel Zeman, but I would say after the 90s, here was some huge gap, and not really any animators. The older ones, they kind of quit the job, and there was a big gap. And you, with your wife, were able to actually to step by step run the production, find the right animators. So if you could tell us about it.
On the beginning was the FILMFEST, which was the combining of 5 short movies, partly from the 80s, from the 90s, and we put it together with the Aurel Klimt, which was the guy from as the animation department at FAMU was established in the 90s. So he was the first of the students of the animation department, very talented guy. And we met coincidentally in some of the screening of his short movies. I asked him about the idea of the other project. We get the idea that it's possible to do it as the feature film, 5 very popular, in the Czech Republic, very popular movies, or fairy tales based on the book of the Jan Werich, famous Czech actor and writer. And it was funny that when we completed the movie, I requested my tutors or my teachers from the FAMU, which they were also the distributors, about the possibilities to put the movie to the cinema. And the first of them told me, I show it to my children, and they said that it's disgusting and ugly, very, very expressive characters. So I'm sorry that I am not ready to distribute it. It was one of the biggest distribution company. Then I requested the other friend from the other company, and he said, okay, it's the fairy tale, it's in Czech, it's the Werich, let's put it to the cinema. Finally, we beat the Shrek with the numbers, as we get, I don't know, 120,000 viewers in the Czech cinemas. So it was the great success for us, good beginning to cooperate. Then we started shooting the second movie based of the other stories of the Werich, as the omnibus was easier way how to collect the money for the feature film, how to shoot it quickly, as the feature film took, I don't know, 2.5 years in the production. And we split it in between more directors, including Břetislav Pojar, and it was the way how we started, deeply dived to the production.
And the Film Forum, for me, it is like one of my the most favorite animation, and I feel so honored to sit here beside you because I'm looking for that you will create another such an amazing story, and I'm looking for also what is the next step, what is in front of you. But yeah, that was amazing.
Just, I remember many years later, I attended some festival in Hamburg, and they had the screening of the Ice Age director, and then they screened the FILMFEST first one. And the atmosphere in the audience was Ice Age. It was completely frozen because they said, oh my God, this is the fairy tales for the children, because the puppets are really expressive. The pieing old man in the children's story, it looks really, really different taste of the humor. So then I discovered many years later that it's not easy to attend the international audience with this typical Czech stories. Omnibus, it's also not easy way to promote it. So, but you need a lot of time and experience to meet with the people to discover these differences between the market, between the expectation of the audience. And for the Czech people was usual because they know the stories from the LPs from the 60s. So it's very familiar and unknown, popular. So it's completely different experience for the international or audience abroad.
Thank you, and you helped me actually to give another question to Tommy. In your movies, it is full of mythology, and one of the things what I realized that you are using a lot of circles there. And if we can show it on the screen, because it is also obvious in the reels. And I would like to know if it's something what is like you were born with this mythology inside of you, and through you it gets to the screen, and if you can explain to us something more about it, because for me it is totally catching me. It is like getting me into the animation, and I cannot leave it, and I have to watch on full movie.
Well, I'm glad it works. You know, it's something that came up through over the years, and it's only when I see it all cut together in the showreel I see how much we do that, and it's just a compositional trick. The original idea for it was based on old carvings, you know, old spiral carvings on Irish rocks and stones and things like that. But the mythology, yeah, I mean, we always try and take the mythology as a starting point, but try to tell something quite universal that can work internationally as well, you know. We kind of try and think about a contemporary audience as well as thinking about the old mythology.
Actually, right now we could see there the rowers, and because I'm a rower, I know precisely that you draw it as it is really, and it is very technical things. How do you take the time to study every detail, what you show in animation, that it is, how to say, you do some characters, you stylize it, but still it is based on the reality.
Yeah.
So how do you take time for it? Because you said you have 200 employees.
Yeah.
You are director, but you are also manager in the same moment. You are very artistic. I don't have a clue how you can manage it, if you can tell us the secret.
I don't know if there's a secret. I've got great partners, Nora and Paul, and I we take turns directing and being in charge of that big crew. And so at the moment, I'm focused on research for my new movie, and that's all I'm working on at the moment, except for, no, it's not all I'm working on at the moment, but it's the main artistic work at the moment is researching my new movie. The rest of my work is involved with the management of other projects.
And when some of the young animator would like to get in your studio, they have to be very strong with the drawing skills, am I right?
Yeah, it's mainly drawing skills that we look for because we're mostly hand-drawn studio, so we mostly focus on hand-drawn skills, and then whatever else they need to learn, they can learn in the studio.
So you have like drawing lessons even during the working time when you are working on the project. In the evening, the animators, they go to draw the...
Life drawing, yeah. We try to keep
amazing.
practice of life drawing alive, and Lighthouse Studios, our sister studio, we have life drawing sessions there.
And do you draw your storyboards and everything on the piece of paper, and you have a hardcore in the hand and you draw it? Or you do it directly already in the computer? Can you tell us a little bit of your process, how you do it?
My personal process starts with paper. Yeah, I make the storyboards really small and on paper first, and then I go to the computer. And very often when I'm drawing on the Cintiq, I change things that were in the paper. I change it because then I can see it with a timeline. I can see what the movement, or I can see the cuts and see if they work or they don't work. So it starts with the paper, but then I finish it in the computer.
And you discuss usually your script with Nora, am I right?
Yeah.
After you prepare the storyboard, I think the first draft of the storyboard is very sketching style.
Yeah.
And you show her the storyboard, or you first discuss with her the script itself?
Yeah.
How is the process? Because in Czech Republic, when I was a student, we had usually problem that we were not so strong as a directors, and the scripts were a little bit weaker. Maybe we have a good tradition with like characters that it was eye sketching, but the scripts sometimes were not so strong. So
the scripts are the hardest part, and we work with screenwriters. Working with a screenwriter on each of my feature films. There's a guy called Will Collins in Ireland that I've worked with on Song of the Sea and Wolfwalkers, and he's working on my new movie with a Native American writer, because it's a story between Ireland and America. But work with screenwriters a lot first, and then that's when we're just doing designs and we're just doing concepts and maybe like concept trailer. And then now we're heading into the phase this summer where we start to draw the storyboards, and that's always like a final draft of the script. And at that point, it's not just Nora, but we show it to audience, and sometimes we show it to kids, the animatic, to make sure that it really works and that they really understand what's happening. So even when it's just rough storyboards, we're already testing it with an audience, you know.
So Martin, is something similar also for your studio, that you are also testing some animatic on children's? I was few times attending something like that, and actually it was very useful for us as a production.
Of course, firstly, we are always, I really appreciate the sentence that you are working with the scriptwriters, because, of course, in Czech, it's stronger tradition to authors, movies. Of course, in the case of the shorts, which we produce it also, it's evident. But in the feature film, I strongly recommend it to all the authors who work with the scriptwriters, as they know their job, they know they could bring you the structure, they have the distance of the topics. So it's very usual and very natural to work with the scriptwriters, as it is the first part of the work and the strongest part. And when you are confident with the script, it's much easier to promote it. It's much easier to test it. You can test it with the reading the script, with the people. We did it. I saw David in the audience. Our big unrealized still project of the 11 of the football family. We did it the whole animatic with the perfect voiceover, and we screen it to the children in the school with the feedbacks. And improve it, the details in the story, in the rhythm. So it's very natural, but it took time, it took a lot of energy, it took also the money, because you need to be allowed. So it's normal, but it's not typical for all the projects. But more and more, as you have the more sources and possibilities, it's more professional way that you can do it.
When you get the script in your hand, you immediately know that it will be great, or sometimes you took something where you were not sure, and at the end, that animation, you produce it, and it got an amazing award, and
It's the same question from the morning interview for the Czech TV. So no, I'm laughing because sometimes you are confident with the script, but the audience could have the different opinion. So it's unpredictable. And it's the same for the American big, high-budget movies, that they still don't know what will be the reaction of the audience. So it's unpredictable. It's lottery. Of course, you have some experience, you have some taste, you have some feelings, but it's impossible to predict it. Only that's based on the feelings. It's no possible to calculate that if you have 100 points, that it will be great script and the reaction of the audience will be perfect. Sometimes you are surprised. Of course, it's possible that you're thinking that some moments are funny, and you can feel it that the people react during the test, during the reading, that it will be funny. Sometimes you are surprised that they are laughing in the different places. Especially the children are totally unpredictable. So this is something magical that it's not possible to predict 100% results of how it will be, how will be the reaction of the audience.
Now, maybe for both of you, the same question. How much you kind of interfere the work of your colleague? Because you as a producer, you must trust the director or animator. So I would like to know if you a little bit also direct time to time and influence the script. And for you, because you are so artistic, and when I'm co-working with some of my colleagues from animation industry, sometimes I would do it slightly different, but you are the director and animator, so how, and you know, when you press your colleague too much, it can go the wrong direction,
Yeah.
but otherwise you cannot sleep when it is not correct, so how you handle it?
I think I loosened up over the years. I think in the early days I was much more controlling, but now I get to trust the team and get to trust that the artists that are doing their part of the work know what they're doing. So it's a collaboration rather than me interfering, I hope. But it's about setting it up well at the start and being prepared for getting ready for them to start so that they know what their job is and they can focus on their job. And that's part of my job too as a director and producer, to make space for the art director, to make space for the animators, you know.
I'm trying to imagine that you are sitting in the both sides of the table and discuss by yourself, running up to that. No, in our case, firstly, there is the big differences between the shorts, which are authors, and sometimes it's more in the vision than for the feature film. For the feature film, we always discuss and deeply discuss each scene, each moment in the movie. In the shorts, it's also the discussion, but I'm fully respect of the opinion of the author. I'm trying to convince them if I have the doubts. If we have the dramaturgist, which they are helping be sometimes the moderator between the producer and director to deliver our opinions. So it's very good, and I highly recommend it also work with the dramaturgists. But finally, especially in the case of the shorts, as it is the idea came mainly from the author, I respect if they are saying, okay, I will do it like this. So that's my respect. I can try to say, I'm feeling that it's not the best way for this, but I respect it if they choose their way. But for the feature film, of course, there is more discussion, not only with the producer, you have the co-producers, you have the partners like broadcasters, and all of them, distributors, all of them are trying, brings their opinion. And sometimes it's very risky that the producer has to protect the director and script against these investors, because each person has the different opinion. And you have to be self-confident, you have to trust to your opinion and your director and his way to protect it against sometimes it's a good idea and it's good to discuss about, but it's sometimes you have to say, no, we are trust in this way. So that's always, but this is the crucial topic for us in our company, that we always thinking that the animated film is the marriage, because it's the long-term partnership. And that means that it's about the conflicts, about argue, about the discussion, but full of the respect.
Martin, you mentioned that it's good to have a dramaturg. And my question is, do you have dramaturgs from Czech Republic? Because your connection are amazing and you could produce the animation really from people from all over the world. So I'm curious if you usually choose the dramaturg from Czech Republic or you go usually for someone from abroad, or what you would recommend to young animator where they should look around for a good dramaturg?
You know, the dramaturgist, it's very special position because they need a lot of knowledge, they need to watch the movies, they need the taste. Also, they need the psychology because they have to negotiate with the authors. So we work, we have some long-term relations with Lucia Kajankova, with the Patrik Paš Jr. from Slovakia, with Anna Vášová. So they are mainly in the Czech Republic, but not all of them. And that depends on the topics, it depends of the constellation of the co-production. That means sometimes we work with the French script writer, script editor. She's based in Berlin, and she brings us a lot of very good point of view abroad. That means the different, as I said, my experience with the FILMFEST, that you had the feeling that it's the good joke, and for the foreigners, they said no go, it's too dark, too ugly, or something like this. So it's always depends on the constellation of the script, your needs, and also the relation. I think that's the same partnership for the producer and director, and for the dramaturgist. If they have the trust and good relations, they would like to continue in this cooperation for the next and other projects, and again and again.
Thank you. So another question would be, Czech Republic is not a large country. Ireland also is not the biggest one in the world, actually. And you created a big studio in Ireland. And how in LA, and how they reacted on your production, that you concurrate to Hollywood movies, Hollywood animation, and their budget is, I'm pretty sure it will be, they have large budget there than you have. But your animations are, I cannot say better, but you are like on the same level. But the start line is different, you know, but
Yeah.
maybe it helps you to create your unique style, because visually, and the music and composing the music, what you have in your animations, if you could tell us something about all that, how it's going.
Well, all the films that I've directed or co-directed are co-productions. We work a lot with France, we work a lot with Belgium, but we've also worked with Denmark and Luxembourg and Canada. So very often we have partners. And my very first film, Secret of Kells, that was a co-production with France. And that's when I first met Bruno Coulet, who was the composer for Secret of Kells, and he's written the music for all the films that I've directed since then. Because, as Martin was saying, like when there's a good relationship, it's nice to continue. And so we continued working with Bruno, working with the Irish folk band Keela, and they make a great team. And for me, as a director, I feel very relaxed about the music when I know I'm in strong hands like Bruno, working with Bruno and with the guys from Keela. And I don't know, I think what we tried to do was we tried to use the strength of strong design to allow us to make stuff with a smaller budget, and we don't have the Hollywood budget, but what we can do with hand-drawn animation, with strong design choices, we can make something that looks beautiful, even if it doesn't look like a Hollywood film, you know. We look a lot to Japan, we also look a lot to Eastern Europe and the Hungarian folk tales from the Kecskemét studio, and we have a lot of different references that we look to for people who found ways to tell stories, brave stories beautifully told. That's our motto.
And you mentioned Bruno, am I right?
Bruno Coulet, yeah.
That he composed the music for you. And are you the director the way that you also tell him like what is your inspiration, what you would like to have there as a music, a little bit in the animation, or you give him kind of storyboard and you can slowly start to think about the music, or how is the process going?
The way we work is we discuss very early the music with the musicians, and we show them the storyboards and the designs and everything like that. And if there's a certain sequence that needs the music done first, we do
Someone
that.
phones.
We ask him to write the music first so that we can animate to the music, and then for the rest of the music, it's his response to the finished film. So very often we don't get the music, except for the parts that we really need it for, that we have to animate to. Very often we don't get the final music until we're finished the picture. And
So
then
rhythm, you get the rhythm.
Yeah, and it allows Bruno to respond to the colors, to the movement and everything. But he doesn't like me to give him temp music, you know, it doesn't like me to give him temporary music that is a reference. So I usually use music from Bruno as my temp music, so he doesn't get offended when he hears it.
As long as it is working like this.
Yeah. I have a funny story. One time we used the music from Pan's Labyrinth on Song of the Sea as a temporary piece of music, and then on the final film, of course, it's all Bruno's music. But on the DVD that we released, we had special features, and some of them were showing the early version of the movie, like in storyboard or rough animation, and it still had the Pan's Labyrinth music on, and we didn't realize until the DVD was distributed in shops and everything. It was a total nightmare. But at least it was the same distributor. We were with Universal, and so we were able to fix it. But there's a version of the Song of the Sea DVD with the bad music.
It's the nightmare for producer that you're expecting the invoice from the studio for the rights.
Okay. So, and another question is, when I studied in America, there was a new movie, Frozen, and they spoke about it like in Frozen you have two characters, women, and like first time women, not men. But actually in your movie there are a lot of characters, women. And if I'm right, you have a son and a daughter, and the main character are girls. Is it because your script writer is woman, or I should not see something like that in that at all? Because
I mean,
especially in the Wolf Workers, it is like they are a hero. They are amazing.
Yeah, well, the main character in Wolfwalkers was going to be a boy, and then the story wasn't working, the script wasn't really working, and when we made her a girl, everything made much more sense. There was much more natural conflict. The movie was set in 1650, so during that time it would have been really difficult for a little girl who wanted to be a hunter like her dad. So it just made more sense to make her a little girl then. But yeah, I had 3 sisters growing up, I don't know.
And in Wolf Workers, there is a lot of wolves. Did it happen ever on any screenings that the kids were a little bit scared? Because here in Zlín, it happened to us that kids sometimes were a little bit afraid what they saw on the screen.
Yeah, usually I find the kids' response, they seem, if you carry them through it, it's like you take their hand and bring them through it. Usually they can handle the scary stuff, as long as there's some resolution on the other side. But I think it's important when you're making films that are for like young kids, a young audience, that you treat them respectfully. You don't kind of overly sugarcoat everything and take all the edges off, you know. You kind of have to keep some of the edges, because I think that's in fairy tales, that's in folklore, that's in classic children's literature like Roald Dahl. It's about animation has an ability to create just enough distance that it can be scary, but they can still handle it, you know. Whereas I think maybe if it was live action or super realistic CG, it might be too scary.
And when you, for example, did the animation about wolf workers, you studied really the wolves? Did you went to zoo and you studied really like you said, you studied the human anatomy from the figure? Did you do something similar like with the wolf? Because the movement and everything is very specific. It is not like walking for a human being.
Yeah, and we even had some kind of expert American animators who had done a lot of four-legged animation, that did some special scenes and helped with the character design, and they did a kind of workshop for our animators about how to do animation with four-leg characters, you know.
Wow, that's impressive, I must say. And Martin, something similar also happened for your animators as well, that they have such a comfort that they could discuss with some specialists, for example, when you did the garden, that the flowers are more original, or how went that process?
Oh, the Czech animation is more punk process, so it's this sounds for us like the dream, yeah. That teacher, especially four legs animator, it sounds amazing. I love it. No, but for example, the Fritze was for us the great experience. As in the beginning, when we started the project, they said we will make it the simple, and then the director said, we love it, his sentence, let's make it more ambitious, more high-level animation. So that means in your brain, a calculator started, okay, that means we will slower, that it will be not 2 seconds per day, it will be 1.5. And then you see the numbers in the end that it means. But for us, it was great experience because we had the two supervisors. One of them was the French lady and the second one was the German. And for all our animators was the great school, how to improve their skills, how to work in this big team with this supervising on remote, because we worked in the Czech Republic and they were in the France or in Berlin. So it was a big challenge. In the beginning we tested nearly 60 people, and we selected 7 or 8 of them only, because as we have a lot of schools, but they are directed and leaded to be mainly authors, not as the independent animators. And also because we don't have so many opportunities to make the services or work in the 2D continuously. So that was the great, and based on this, I think all our animators after the Fritz get the other jobs. Marek Pokorny was animated in Luxembourg for the Israel, the director of the Waltzwe Bashir, the new project. So for him was the great recommendation that he was the good in the Fritzi project. He got the other jobs. So this is the good example how it could help also this minority projects for the Czech industry.
I remember you cooperated a little bit also with Libor Nemeškal from Zlín. Am I right on that? He tried to help you to find the animator. And as I know that they must do some tests at the beginning, most of them didn't get through. And now when you go to work on the bigger project again, and it changed a little bit now that more students, when they graduate from school, they are, let's say, on a higher level, or they are more able to shoot in the bigger studios. Did it change a little bit, or how you see it now? Because you are a teacher in Prague at FAMU, am I right?
Yeah, I'm teaching. The FAMU is still mainly for the authors. That means that they are graduate with their movies. They are taught for the development of the script, the storyboard. So they are mainly leaded to be director. But parallelly, they discovered that for many of them, it's no chance to get their own movies. So they are more professional, and they are looking for the jobs as the animators. And what I appreciate, especially in the FAMU, that my students always cooperate in between their projects. That means all my students works in all work of her friends in the school. So that's very helpful process, that they could improve their skills. They could improve not only the directing way, but also the animation. And this is also something what I appreciate, this friendship, because this is the strong background of animation, that we are small family. We are smaller minority than the 4% LGBT community, that we are smaller, and it works as the family, that we are trying to help others. That was our cooperation with the Kozalna, that they helped us with the animation, and then we consult with them their scripts. So that's very efficient and good way that we are. Of course, we are asking for the same money in the funding, but parallelly we are very open-minded to consult, discuss, and be helpful. Yeah.
And because I can see that here's also a lot of young animators, some of them graduated. when they would like to cooperate with you or get in your studio? Are there any ways how to do it? And in case yes, what they should do, what they should prepare in their portfolio? I think in Martin case, it is more like that they should prepare the script, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. And in your case, they should prepare the portfolio and try to apply for the job, or what you would suggest it to them?
Well, for us, there's always an interest in seeing the new graduates every year from the animation schools, and sometimes there's one or two people that really have a sense of design that we really want, and we ask them to come and work on the movie that will be in production at the time. But most of the time the opportunities come really depending on the department, and if you're applying for layout or applying for background or applying for animation, you should gear your portfolio towards that department that you're most interested in. And it's not impossible, but it's less often that we hire designers because we have a really good team and we have a lot of people. But as I said, nearly every year there's someone somewhere in the world pops up that we want to work with and wants to work with us on the design side. And sometimes that works as an internship. Sometimes they come as an intern and then become an employee. And we have a long tradition of young people coming to our studio as interns and ending up becoming important parts of the team.
In our case, the good example, and I'm inviting Tom for tomorrow pitching as the Saloon Film Festival has the pitch of the students' projects, and it's the good case how they could promote it, how they could get the producer, how they could get the support from the Saloon, which is amazing job which festival is doing. And it's true that we choose some of this project during the pitches, and now we are in two of shorts in nearly end of the production of the students' projects, which we supported by our own money to help them to complete it, promote it, and prepare it for the steps to the big world of the festivals, distribution, and some of them we would like to continue and develop the new projects. So it sounds very simple.
I think it is not so simple, but at least in Czech Republic we have a little bit of government support, if I'm right. I don't know actually if you apply for any grants because your movie are so successful, and maybe you can cover it somehow. I don't know how, but
no, and there's a big gap. Like we still make all our individual, like we do work for hire, we do work for Disney and big companies, but the work that we do for ourselves, our own projects, are still European co-productions. So really important that we get support from Screen Ireland and different state bodies in Ireland, and we can raise the finance and do something independent only because of that. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you work also with Disney. Can you tell us a little bit more about that cooperation with them?
Well, we did a short for Disney Plus based in Star Wars. That was a really nice experience. And yeah, I can only say that it was a positive experience. I don't have any bad stories or anything. Luckily, they came to us to do what we do. And they wanted it to feel like Wolfwalkers, so that was positive. They weren't asking us to copy their style, they wanted us to do our style, and that's what made it work. That's what made the collaboration work.
In a way, they trusted you fully.
Yeah, they trusted us. I mean, years ago when we used to do work for hire, we had to kind of be invisible and try and not be seen and try and make our work look like
a soldier.
Like a soldier. Like a soldier. Yeah, but now, thankfully, whenever we are asked to do work, people are asking for some of our visual identity, you know.
And now, one question I think what you will not like is that I think 3 years ago in Pixar, they kick out like 200 employees, and the AI is coming. And none of my colleagues want to discuss this subject. Everyone is pretending that it is kind of not existing because we love to create the things, like from the script, we like to write it, and we like to draw the storyboards, everything by hand, but actually the technology is here. and not many people, not just from the animation, also from the design, they are not talking about it. But I'm pretty sure the young generation, they will use it. How you want to react on it? Because it is here. It is not coming. It is here, and I would like to know your opinion on that.
The most interesting thing I saw, I follow it closely. I was really depressed when I first came across AI a few years ago. And I played with it a little bit and I was like, this is depressing. And then after a while I realized it's pretty hard to get something good out of it. It still needs a good artist's eye. And I've seen people like, I was mentoring a group of young French students in the Gobelin, and they made with hand animation a beautiful film. But to paint it, they made it look something like Loving Vincent or something. They made it look fully painted. They used AI. So that's where I see people that are working in small teams, finding ways to use it to help them, rather than it completely replacing people, I hope. For Cartoon Saloon, we don't use it at all because we kind of have a brand and a reputation of making everything by hand. So we don't really want to go near AI in the studio or use it in the studio. We had a big conference in the studio about it. Everybody was talking about it, everybody was worried, and so we had a big conference about it, and we have a chief technology officer, the guy who's in charge of all the technology and stuff for the studio, and he gave us a presentation on it, and we understood it. For us, it wasn't something interesting, but I think for small teams and for individual artists, it could be really powerful, you know?
I have the question for the audience. How many people are using AI for daily based? Or show me hands, raise your hands. Okay. And who has the experience with AI? So that's evident, that's the answer. It's coming. We are facing the situation. The truth is that it's the progress and speed of progress. It's unbelievable. It's unpredictable and unbelievable. That 2 years ago it was like sci-fi, and now it's on the daily basis that people are using that for the script consultancy, for the presentations, for the budgeting, or the analyzing of the script. So it's the fact, and we could use it as the helpful tool, and I'm trusting that it's possible, or we can be more traditional and scared about, but then it's unpredictable how it will be continue, yeah. And I'm more scared about the AI with the guns than in the art, yeah.
Isn't it quite connected, everything? Like the artist can create something what looks very, very real, but we are going on the thin ice, and yeah, I think I should move the subject a little bit. But anyone want to have any question regarding that, or any other question? Yeah, you will get the microphone from my colleague.
Hello. I have a question regarding to the, you were talking about you writing scripts for the animations. In what way does it, I'm a director of like human, real like actors, existing actors. And so what would be the difference between the animation script and the script for a feature film? Like in what kind of language do you use for, like?
I mean, nothing really. I mean, the scriptwriter I work really closely with the screenwriter, and so they can see that it's going to be translated into drawings later. And obviously, animation lends itself to fantasy and to certain types of storytelling, but not always. You know, we made the film The Breadwinner, which was really rooted in everyday life. So I don't think there's a huge difference in the screenwriting craft for animation than for live action. But I don't have any experience in live action, but I can't imagine it's that different. I think it's a similar skill set, you know? And then it's what you do afterwards and how you interpret it afterwards, I guess.
I think that in animation it's very simple, that you can say the sun fall down immediately. And that's the power of imagination, which you can translate it immediately in animation. In live action, it could look weird or strange, but in animation it's usual, and the audience accepted that the sun fall down. So that's the big difference, and I think that there is the difference between the script writers for the animation, that they have the different skills, especially with the description of imagination. But for the narration, for the good story, it's the same.
But you also have to like go through your finances and make them believe that it's going to look beautiful. And do you write and we zoom into a circle and then in the middle of the circle something, or yeah?
No. That all comes in storyboard for me. So either I do the storyboards alongside at the same time as the writers are working, or before or after. But the very precise visual decisions are made later by the storyboard team.
I can imagine that the storyboards are really important when you sell the movie.
Yeah, and I think the storyboards are also the final draft of the script. I haven't made a film yet that is literally the script on screen. It's always the first pass. We see, oh, it's not working. We ask the writers to come back. We work on a new version, and we maybe make the movie 2 or 3 times in storyboard before we start full animation. So there's kind of like this opportunity to test the movie before at storyboard, and test the script at storyboard, and push the script into something else. And there's a certain point where you have to say goodbye to the writers and trust that it's now a movie rather than a script, and that has different needs, you know.
And are you showing this animatic to your animators, to the people in the studio, or it's the small circle?
Yeah, I know. We show the animatic to anybody who can watch it and understand it. Sometimes people can't understand animatic, but my wife was a primary school teacher, and very often I showed her class of like 8-year-olds the animatic and get their feedback, and that's really, really important, you know.
Hi, big fan of both of you. I had a question about the script development, storyboarding, animatic phase. How do you know when a film is ready to be moved on to the next stage? Because I guess you can keep refining it for years and years. And so is it like mainly to do with the test screening sort of phase? Or is it just like a feeling? And for example, with the test screenings, whether it's on children or adults, is that super structured, like you're getting them to write out a form and answers, or is it just like general comments, and if a lot of people are making comments about the same thing, then you look at it, or?
Yeah, for me, sometimes you get a note that just resonates with you and you want to implement it, but usually it's if it comes several times from different people, then you can tell, okay, this is something I need to look at. But to decide when it's time to move on, they make me at a certain point, I guess, because you could just keep refining it forever, and it always feels like you don't have enough time. We always give about 12 months to that animatic stage, and then the pressure is coming from partners, co-producers, all the financial partners. Where's the movie? The movie has to be delivered at a certain time, so you have to let go of refining the storyboards and move into actual production. But yeah, I think Pete Docter, the guy who directed like Monsters Inc. and stuff, he said that you never finish an animated film. You just release it. It's not finished.
We had the experience that sometimes we rewrite it based off the animatic, the script for the partners, that we did it the storyboard or animatic, and we said we are fine with this, with the changes, and be more clear and more transparent for the investors abroad. We little bit rewrite it, the scenes in the script, in the literary. But it's lovely sentence, but also the most scary word, it's the deadlines. It works, that you are under the deadlines of the deliveries, you have the deadlines for the applications, so you know, okay, let's try it. Of course, during the process you can make some small changes, but this is the minor. And it's approved by the partners, it's approved by the stage, yeah, that the director is saying, I'm not still fine with this, and you said, okay, we have the deadline, so let's move forward.
Hi, have a curious specifically to you, Vandus, about your stance on AI, because you've mentioned earlier about how there's a struggle in hiring artists per project and then having to rehire and sort of retrain these artists every time. But if we're leaning more into the use of AI, aren't we sort of depriving ourselves then of the opportunity to be trained and then learn these new skills instead of just handing those tasks then off to AI? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I don't know. The truth is that the system it's grow up so quickly. They get more and more data, and when I'm trying to consult the script or consult the presentation, I'm impressed how is the feedback from the AI, and sometimes it's very efficient that they could help me with the strategy that you can prompt the strategy for the distribution, which the festival is the best, etc. So from my position as the producer, it's the good tool, but probably for the prompt the visuals, still I'm not sure. I agree with Tom that this hand-drawn skills or authenticity of the author is still the better way, but who knows? I don't know.
I think there was someone else had the question.
I wanted to ask about merchandising, because I feel that big Hollywood production animated features, they often like try to make as much merchandising, because then all the children want to buy it, and it often, even if it's a good movie with a good message, it can kind of dissolve. It's everywhere, and like the message of the movie is lost. Where I felt that like you with your merchandising, you're quite restricted. That there is not that much. It's kind of so. Maybe I want to ask if it's something that you thought about, if it's something intentional, like not to, because as was mentioned, like you could took almost every frame of the movie and you would have a beautiful picture, or you could print on many stuff, but you don't do it. So if it's something intentional, not to take away from the movie itself.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. There would be no point to do a load of plastic toys about a film that has an environmental message or something like that. So we try to find partners that have the same sustainable goals that we have for the studio. And so we managed to find, like for the plush toys for our TV series, Puff and Rock, it's all made from recycled materials, and it's manufactured in Ukraine. And they're the merchandise that sells the most. Puff and Rock is a preschool show that we do. And then for the feature films, it's mainly books and some board games and things that are aligned with our values, I suppose you could say. Yeah.
In Czech, I think that we are very conservative. I remember when I attended the illumination studio in LA, and I saw their room for the merchandising for the Minions. That was the full of the stuff. That it was the shoes like Minions, the T-shirts, board games, everything you can imagine. And then it was thousands of things. And I asked them, okay, how many people take care about the merchandise in company? Try to guess. 6. It's unbelievable. 6 people. Of course, they are only selling the rights, and it's the bigger market than the movie. I work with the toy company, and they acquired the rights for the Frozen 3 years before the premiere, when the Disney promoted. And for the small countries, you are not in the chain, you are not involved to this game, so it's very difficult to be in the same level. And parallelly, I have the doubts if it's good to make a lot of stuff for this, from the ecological point, that I don't want. I don't know if it's good to have 100 T-shirts with the minions in the scarf. Yeah. So it's always the balance. We did it some books, of course. That I love it. I love it. Tom books. That they are amazing, and you would like to have it. But probably, how much deeply plastic toys you need, I don't know.
Yeah, in between the artificial aspects, artificial secrets of success and the merchandising, in between that there is sales agents and there is distribution. How important is their influence? How can they help to bring your films to a success? Or in a concrete question, did you ever have made a film that you didn't find the proper partner to distribution and to sales agents?
We've been really lucky so far with our partners in the distribution, but it takes a long time, especially for our first film, Secret of Kells. It was really hard to find American distribution, when in the end it was a tiny company, G-Kids, that set up out of the Children's Film Festival in New York, and they wanted to distribute it. And I think only because it got nominated for the Oscar, that turned their company into something bigger, and now they're quite a big company, quite a big distribution company, and we've worked with them since 2009. But before we found them, we didn't have any distribution in the States, for example, and we were just going country by country with our sales agent trying to make sales. So it was a long road. It was a slowly kind of building our reputation, until now we have more relationships with more sales agents and distributors than we used to, yeah.
For me, it's the same as with the director. That's the relationship and the partnership. That means it's about the trust. It's about the long-term cooperation, that you try it. If it works and you are satisfied, you are continue with the same distributors or sales, or you are trying the other one. And I have the great experience with, for example, with the Czech distributor who did it for us, the Czech distribution of the Fritzi project. And they were so involved, so optimistic about, and they invest a lot of energy. And finally, our numbers was in the size of proportion of the market, quarter bigger than in the Germany. That means we did it, I don't know, as the minority co-production, 30,000 viewers in the first year, and it was crazy that that was the movie in the cinema in 2019, and still they are screening it in the autumn for the anniversary of the revolution in the Czech cinemas. For me, it's the big trust, and that was the reason that we continues with them for the next movie.
About the Fritzi, what I love about that animation is that it is educative animation in a way, because younger generation don't go through it, what the Fritzi, the main hero, is saying there and doing there. And you must have a lot of feedback from kids and parents on that movie. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Firstly, I'm always very skeptic about the wording educative, because it sounds very, very... Yeah, but it was not our aim, that we would like to open the possibilities for the families, for the parents, which they had the historical experience from the 1989, to talk with the kids about their experience. It works. And it was amazing that we had the feedbacks that the parents, after this watching the movie with the kids, start to talking. What did you do in the 1989, or what was before? And it was amazing that you can share it, this historical facts with the kids, and open the perspective. Helena Franková and her son watched the Fritzi, and he was surprised that we had the iron curtain on the boards. For him was unbelievable. And I love it, because that's the signal that we change the mind, but parallelly it's good to remind them that it could happen. So this is, and of course, in the beginning, the book which inspired the movie was had this historical fact to talk with the parents, and the author get the feedbacks that they read the book and they start to talk about the history. And this was our inspiration and our aim to be part of this because it's the part of our history also. And that was the educational background in the story. But probably strong fact was that we have the emotional, good narrated story about the relation, friendship between two girls. And dog.
I think someone want to ask something there. Yeah.
I had a question for that Maurfilm usually have a different kind of animation, like painted on glass or like hand-drawn and stop motion. And if you also like take in consideration by picking the project, the techniques to have like a various portfolio of the films that you produce, or mainly it's about the story and you don't really care about how is it done?
B is right. No, we are choosing mainly the stories. That means if the author has the idea about the techniques, it's the fact which you accept it. And for us, it's only the way how to narrate the good story, that it's not necessary to make it in stop motion or in sand animation. Sometimes, in the case of the sand animation, which we did it with the Kafka letters, we were curious how it will be work, how it will be. It was most difficult animated techniques which we did it. They did it. One animator did 4, 5, 8 frames per day maximum. So it was challenging to do the short one. Finally, we helped to the main producer to edit it and make it shorter because it was much expensive and difficult to complete it. So that's, but the technique, it's technique. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask, do you remember what was the first animated movie you ever saw that kind of stuck with you and inspired you, possibly when you were children?
Yeah, for me, it was The Secret of Nim. It was a Don Bluth movie called The Secret of Nim. I saw it at a birthday party when I was very young, and it blew my mind. And then I discovered later that he had a studio in Dublin, so it became my ambition to work for him in Dublin. But the studio was gone by the time I qualified.
For me, it was the bedtime stories. The Czech tradition of the bedtime stories was super strong. So the Little More, I don't know, the Ksemileka Vochomurka. That means that was our growing period. But for the production side, for me was inspiring to the meeting with Aurel, as he did it, the many different techniques of his student shorts, and each of them, I love it, the fall, based of the Russian book. Yeah, this was for me very strong.
I have a question, maybe more for Tom. I was wondering, if you are starting up with a new project, do you have a preferred way to get it down onto a paper? Like, do you prefer starting with some concept drawings, or maybe writing something down, or beatboard, or does it differ from each project?
It's kind of the same from project to project. I kind of design the characters as I'm thinking of the story, and I figure out kind of once I kind of feel like I know who the characters are, then I can do kind of beatboard, concept art type stuff, like start to visualize some moments that I want to see in the film. So usually it starts in my sketchbook, really. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me just say I'm honored and I'm really touched that I have this opportunity to meet you both, and I have to say that I have some small private impact, and because my daughter, 10 years old, Apollonia, she saw Tales from the Magic Garden last year on Young Horizons Film Festival in Poland, where I came from, and which I work in, in a marketing and PR department. And let me just say that I'm referring to the things that you said that about this educational point of view. And I strongly believe that film can be like initiative point or the reason for you know, for discussing, and for her, for Apollonia, for my daughter, it helped her really to get through the death of her beloved grandpa. And actually, after your film, she started to grow her own flowers in her garden. Yeah, so I'm really touched. And for you, Tom, like Puffin Rock, oh my God, she was like, she was growing with that film. She was falling asleep with the Puffin Rock. She was like singing the song, the opening credits song. So thank you. I'm love to be here and meet you and listen to you. And I have a question for you, Tom, regarding to the Puffin Rock. Did the commercial success of the film, or financial success, changed you? Not even change you, but maybe gave you some kind of financial freedom for doing more art stuff, or?
Yeah, Puffin Rock has been, we're going to do the 4th season now soon for Netflix. And so, yeah, Puffin Rock has become kind of the little TV series that's just always running in the background. And in the studio, we owe a lot to Puffin Rock, yeah. People talk more about the feature films, but Puffin Rock has been the little engine that could, yeah.
By the way, I attended the Tom presentation in Kaboom in Amsterdam, and it was such interesting to hear it at the beginning, how they struggling and how they fighting to survive with on the daily basis for the family. So I really appreciate how he openly narrated this story, because it's full of pain and full of dedication, that you love it and trust it what you are doing. That's very, very typical for animators.
Hi, again. I have a question for Tom regarding the collaboration on the short film for the Star Wars franchise, which you described as largely positive. And I was very curious, when it came to working with these enormous, companies like Disney Plus and with the George Lucas films, how much were you really afforded in terms of like creative liberty and like freedom in this enormous established franchise? And did you work then closely with, like you've mentioned before, working with screen editors, like screenwriting editors from other countries? Was it similar to that again?
No, the visions, the guy called James Waugh in Lucasfilm came up with the idea of visions, which was Star Wars through the eyes of different animation creators around the world. And Paul Young, my business partner, was really a sci-fi fan, and he was like, oh, give me a go of that. And he wrote the story with Will Collins and Jason Tamagi, who both we work with all the time. Jason works in our studio, Will is a screenwriter, and they came up with 2 different concepts, and we did concept art for both ideas, and we pitched both ideas, and then Lucasfilm picked the one that they preferred. And then after that, it was relatively, they had some feedback on the animatic and on the script and on the storyboards, but it was a pretty smooth production, thankfully, yeah.
Thank you.
If I can ask you, both of you, what advice would you give to audience when they start to work on the new script? Is there any advice, what direction they should go? Should they create something what they already know, some subject? For example, I was rover, so I did a lot of animation about rowing. In your animation, for example, I can see somehow that heroes are a little bit rebel. They usually leave the home and they do something what is not allowed, but they succeed at the end. So is there any advice from both of you? Because you as a producer, maybe you have also some tips for them?
You go first, Mark.
I remember a sentence from the Little Nemo that the sharks are saying the fish is the friend. So the producer is the friend. They are not trying to cheat at you or destroy your ideas. They trying to help you. They try to develop your career and develop your ideas and bring them on the screen. That's my aim, and that's what I'm trying doing all my life.
Yeah, I think whenever you're writing a script, it is a good idea to focus on building in a lot of things you know and love and care about, and that's important to you. Also, it's really interesting to discover new things when you're writing a script. If you're fascinated by a point of view or a topic, something different, like I didn't really know anything about Native American culture before I started working on my new film, and I've been learning so much, and that's also kept it really alive for me, you know. But I based the main character on my little granddaughter. That keeps me invested in the movie.
And did you discuss that subject, for example, with people with producing in America, how the audience there can react on that? Because it can happen that you spend several years on some subject, and at the end, as we talked at the beginning, in some culture it can be understood in the kind of different way. Are you scared of it a little bit? But you are a rebel. So
I'm a rebel, yeah. No, we have a great...
heroes in your movie, at least.
We have an exec producer, Bird Running Water. He's an Apache guy, and he was a producer on the Killers of the Flower Moon and Reservation Dogs and stuff like that. So he's been part of the project from early on. So we definitely have been, from very early on, trying to include Native American producers and their point of view in the movie, you know.
And I would say if audience doesn't have any question, or there is one more, okay. Can I ask for the microphone? Here in the front, first line.
I have a couple of questions for Martin, if that's okay. My first question is, with a movie like The Crossing, it's such like a beautiful technique, but one that seems very intensive with time and resources. How did that look like from a financing perspective? Like, were you able to do that because of like the collaborations you mentioned with certain organizations, or was it just funding from lots of great different like sources? And my second question is, with the boutique sort of perspective and approach, how are projects, I guess, initiated? Like, do directors or producers approach you with certain ideas, or do you like specifically find certain directors and then try and develop something together? Or?
It's like the questions for the other masterclass, yeah. No, The Crossing was amazing because our friend met the producer, French producer, main producer in France, and he said they had the beautiful script. We read it and we were convinced. Florence did it before many shorts, and she was the queen of the animation, and especially the painting on the glass. And parallelly, we developed the first short of the Lucie Sunková in the same technique, and she was very familiar with the technique, so we co-produced it with the film Le Film des Arlequins in France, this short one. And based on this, we convinced them that we are ready to bring it, I don't know, 6 animators for the Czech part of animation. So we did it finally 3 chapters of the movie. And when you're watching the final credits, there were, I don't know, 40 institutions in France, and also we missed some of them during the process of financing. So it sometimes happened that you have the partner for the development and they didn't get the money for the production, or they changed the opinion, or they didn't get the broadcasters. So it's the process, and I don't know how it's but I think it's the same case as we met in the cartoon movie, that you are looking for the right partners and you need them in the right moment. That means sometimes you are ready to jump to the co-production and you're looking for, and you have the good people for that, and sometimes you miss it something because you don't have the terms, or you don't have enough sources for that, or you are not able to convince your private partner like TVs. So that's always the puzzle, and this is the one of the main role of the producer, to put it all the puzzles together and keep it in the end together. And about the projects, how they are coming, I'm teaching in the school, so many students are coming, or I'm watching their movies in the school. I'm attending this kind of the pitching forums. Plus, of course, the animators are coming with the proposals, and you have to evaluate it your sources, your physical time, and the possibilities if you are able to spend years with their project. I love it, the case of the I Died in Irpin, which was this year shortlisted for the Oscar. I pick up the story based on the great pitch of Stacy in the Poland, and I convinced Czech fund that they supported us as the Czech majority with the Ukrainian director, because they understood the importance of the topic and style of the narration. So finally it was the co-production between Czech, Slovak, with the minor share of the Ukrainian, and it was only based on the great pitch and her involvement. She convinced me by her energy and her trustability during the pitch. So that's not typical, but it could happen.
Thank you.
So, and the last question for both of you: how do you see future animation industry in Europe? And yeah, that's for both of you, because I think you cooperate with a lot of studios from abroad, so I think it is like one country together for us, the Europe, at least for you, and how it will go in the future for us. And you have your studio, so you are looking for producing more and more future movie, or how do you see the future?
Okay. For us, I think we want to keep going like we have been, and me and Nora and Paul all want to continue directing and making more films, and I think the European co-production route is the best way for us to make the kind of films we want to make independently. And we still do jobs sometimes for Disney or whatever, but the main reason to keep going with the studio is to make our own stories, and the way we make those is with European co-production, so that's what I hope continues.
I'm always saying that the animation means co-production, because it's the big difference when we started with the FILMFEST, that it was possible to finance only from the Czech sources, but it was very unique way. And now, without the co-production, without the international cooperation, it's nearly impossible. Not only in the case of the feature films, but also with the shorts. I know that The Flow was the great example that the small budget movie of some underdogs won the Oscar and beat the 200 million American movies. But it's only the specific case and unique case. Of course, we are trying to do it again and focused on the quality of the script, but still, I don't know. I think that the people are still loving the cinemas. They are attending the darkness in the cinema and they like it, but I'm not able to predict it, the future of course, for the short period, for next 5 years, I'm sure that the Europe will be continuing the co-productions and will be able to co-produce it, but for the long-term period, I don't know what it happens with the whole industry, because it's completely changing with the platforms, it's completely changing with the phones, that the kids are watching the platforms. Someone told me that they are scrolling by the thumb 400 meters per day. Oh. So that's completely different style of the viewing. So it's difficult to predict it, but still we are trust that the animation has the power to involve the people to watch it, this magical moment. Yeah.
So, in the name of Zlín Film Festival, I would like to thank you very much that you arrived to Zlín. It was a big honor that I could sit here, thanks to Markéta Pášmová, Mr. Vančura, and Jaroslava, that I could moderate this beautiful debate and have you here as our guest. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the festival, and I must say I'm looking forward to see you again once when you will bring to Zlín to show us when you get the Academy Awards, because I'm sure magic will happen, and see you soon. Thank you.
Co máš zbalený?
Jo. Nějaký poslední rady do života.
Hezky se uč. Nauč se, že si musíš věřit. A že úspěch není zadarmo. A nezapomeň si to taky trochu užít. Zkoušej nové věci. A i když to bude těžké a uděláš pár chyb, nikdy se nevzdávej. Protože když se nebojíš jít si za svým, můžeš nakonec získat víc, než čekáš. Zkrátka, svět je teď tvůj, tak si ho přepoř podle sebe. A dovol někomu, aby ti s tím pomohl.
Si bys to měl vidět.
Dávej. Já myslím, že to nemůže být.
Nápravdu ten chlapec.
Tak se bav.
Nejsem křivej.
Zli se vrací domů.
Tak šťastnou cestu.
To je samý exot.
A je to povolený.